yourself to the punch bars.
I guess my question would be, because I, again, had, and I don't know, and again, we don't pick the committee, so.
You don't what?
We don't pick the committee.
But you wrote the policy.
We don't pick the committee. We don't pick the committee.
But when the policy is not followed by your employee, that does become your problem.
But that would be my question. Have you definitively found out why you went out and picked?
I haven't been contacted by Cindy or Jennifer Gonzalez or anybody. I've never been
There was
contacted by
I don't
anybody.
think there was any contact when somebody was not put on a committee. I've heard from other community members that said, hey, we hadn't heard anything, what do you
Of
know?
why they weren't put on a committee?
Yeah, and they said, well, I told them, well, I think they were coming out on this date. And the first time they asked me, I told them, okay, we are working on our policies. We're going through to check and make sure our policies line with the state statutes, and it may be a little while. And they were suspicious that their application was thrown into the trash because they had spoke at one of the meetings. So, it's not just a concern of Mrs. Hunt, and it's not just a concern of Mr. Wagner here. It's other community members as well that have reached out.
So it was not communicated to members that did not get it, but it was communicated.
Did you
to members
receive
that-
anything?
My wife didn't either. My wife was also.
And
And the
was
committees
the
aren't
same
full. There's room for more people on the committee.
And there's two coaches identified as one person.
It's an imbalance of parents and
It
teachers.
totally is. It goes against the policy that you guys decided on.
Because the way we wrote the policy was a minimum of 2, right, and a minimum, but up to 7. And
And in the state statute, it says that there has to be an election if it's over 7. And in the Cindy Sims, state instructions she sent out, she said that to the parents.
But if you cannot get 7, then.
But there are
There-
some.
there are, they
she's
just-
saying there's more than 7 community members. Cindy was saying there's not 7
There were-
parents,
But there are.
so, but having that
But is it a
distinction
matter
of,
of-
are they parent, are they community, are they, I think we need to do some findings.
Is it a matter of secondary parents versus elementary parents?
There's 2 separate committees.
No, I'm aware
So-
of that, but what I mean was there
Neither committee is
10
full, and their
members of
parents
the
will be on either
secondary
one
and
of them.
7 members of it, or 5
I can show you the names
applications?
of
I'm asking, I'm talking, because I'm just asking.
No, I know.
So the way I understand it, there is 2 separate committees. Neither committee is full, and there's parents that could be on either committee that are not, for secondary or the other one.
Is it a balancing issue between parents, teachers, and,
People
So-
properly placed.
The way I understand
no, like
it,
for instance, if we have a teacher, say we have 4 teachers, are we trying to then keep our 4 parents, so we have a balance on that? Voice, I don't know, I'm asking, because I don't definitively know.
I think it's good. I think we all need to learn how it's supposed to be done.
This is encouraging. It seems like you have the intention of actually hearing us and resolving this, and I appreciate that. I'm telling you, if I were you all, I would, since she started PTO and she's really the one who's probably closest to being on your guys' side, and that really wants to see this work, 'cause I think you guys want to see it work. I'm honestly, I'm past that point, but we disagree on that. You should sit down with her, let her explain it to you, and then you'll get a very, at your leisure, in your time, when you're able to, at your convenience, she can show you, and then you can ask questions based on what you learn.
See, and here's where I don't agree with your comment there. I don't believe it should be a side. I don't believe it should be on your side versus on your side. Ultimately, when we're trying to educate our kids, there shouldn't be sides in that matter. I don't have any ill will towards anybody in here.
You're absolutely correct, but that's not the way that we're treated by Cindy Sims.
That's the
That
person
is
that you
not, you are
hired is not
absolutely
doing
correct, and there shouldn't be sides. There should be a community, we should be working together. Fully agree.
I'm just telling you, her and I disagree on something, and so, that happens in marriages, right?
It happens quite frankly a lot.
Yeah, so,
Yep.
I'm just telling you.
But that's how we are a good team.
So the way I feel is obviously not how she feels, so I'm putting myself in your shoes. If I was you, I would sit down with somebody who wants to see it work and can help explain because I can understand this is like high pressure, you've got all these parents asking questions, and it's difficult to get to the bottom of something like this in this kind of environment when you need to, in a relaxed mode, look at it on paper, and then you can go away and be able to make a decision. Because I don't think there's any rule against you all meeting with people outside of this. You just can't be in a forum, right, together, because then, so
You
you
can't
can't.
be discussing business outside of this.
With each other.
But
Well,
would
no,
you
just
mind
it's-
emailing us the list and putting your concerns of this person's parent, this is, all of our email addresses are listed on the school website.
Yeah.
If you could pop that in an email, that way we can look at it and say, oh, okay, this is what they're talking about, this is how many staff, this is how many parents, this is how many community members. And, you know, if you wanna put in there, these are ones we know of that are parents, that are community, that are whatever, I mean, put all these
That's a good idea.
concerns, that way we can map it out and look at it. And if we need to have, you know, a discussion about it, we can do that, but, you know,
Well, and
open meetings, we can't really discuss it outside of
I think that's
and make a
great
decision
idea.
on here.
I was
think
trying to
that would
follow what
give
you
us-
told me by starting
Start at the
Low
bottom
and going
work
up.
your way
That's,
up.
I was
and-
trying to follow what you advised me and the proper procedure, and it led me here to being super frustrated. I hoped that Cindy would address some of this, but she didn't. She knew that this was a concern because of multiple emails. So, the fact that she doesn't tell you guys, doesn't try to put it on the agenda, I think that should say something. I mean, she's not on our side, she's not. She's great at communicating with teachers. She's great at communicating with you guys maybe, but she is terrible about communicating with parents, terrible. She does not respond to emails except like tiny little things that half the time don't even apply to what you wrote her an email about. And it's frustrating. So,
And we
and you
do-
guys are essentially her boss.
And we do have, as you saw tonight, we tabled our discussion about goals and whatnot for next year. And we can definitely express it as a group for what goals we believe need to be addressed. Now, those goals may be here and here, and you may be here, because ultimately, we all think different, right? Like, I don't consider myself a rash person in any way, shape, or form, but my goal for somebody may be completely different than yours. But at the end of the day, the goal is to try to get the best school we possibly can. And I will tell you, and this is my opinion, and having been somebody who graduated from New Mexico, who went to New Mexico to Estancia from the time I was 5 years old, received scholarships, got all the way up to grad school, didn't finish grad school because I got busy. But ultimately, Estancia is a good school district. I can tell you that right now. I will argue with anybody who wants to argue that, because I am a product of that. I have a son that's a product of that, and a daughter that I am extremely proud of. So, now, could it be better? Everything could be better. It doesn't matter what you say or what you do. You can strive for perfection and fail every time.
You know why
What
it's
my
probably
daughter,
good for your
my
kids?
daughter
You're
definitively
on board.
says, because she has speech therapy, Miss Jennifer has told her, practice makes progress, not perfection. And that's coming from a first, about to be second grade. She's a smart kid. She's learning that here. And I will tell you, in my opinion, Estancia School is top notch. Is it perfect? No, it's not.
Well, in
But
any
I-
other
And what makes it
way
top
that
notch
it's graded,
is because
it's
the
not.
community wants to be involved in the school.
Right.
And that's all
But
everybody's
involvement
trying to do.
is twofold. Okay, it is. It can't just be involvement with problems. It has to be involvement. We talk about volunteering. You know, there was a member of our church that used to volunteer, and he used to do math. He didn't feel respected. This was long before I was on the board. Okay, he didn't feel respected by the math teachers for what he knew. The man was an accountant in New York. We can talk about that a different time. For years, he knows math. At the end of the day, that's gotten better. And I will tell you, and I think Randall can tell you as well, our school, I believe, is moving in the right direction. Y'all may not feel that way, okay? But I will tell you, I have nothing but pride, and I believe it's gonna, and I do believe that it's important for community members to talk. But this is what needs to happen. It needs to be a talk. not a top two. We need to have a conversation together, and I'm willing to have that conversation. But I'm not gonna accuse people in an open meeting when I don't know the definitive answer.
That is what
The
she is
point
trying
that,
to do.
that she was trying to make was, we bring things to you and we feel like they die. Because it's
That's
not
what Shorty was
discussed.
saying, 2 years,
And-
same topic.
Yes, it's gotta go on the agenda, I understand that, I was a special ed teacher here, I retired as a special ed teacher. I understand what goes on, I've had kids that graduated from Wisconsin, that's not the point. The point of it is, that we're here today because we see problems that we don't want to watch develop. And it's very hard if a point's brought up, and then it seems to just wash away. We need to have, the discussion we're having right now has been the best discussion that I've been a party to in the last 3 or 4 meetings.
I agree, me
And I
too.
completely agree. And I think that's where the disconnect has come in our community, in the loss of the ability to have a grocery store or a bank. Or somewhere where conversations can happen outside of this boardroom. Because at the end of the day, I can see Shorty on the tractor and say hi to him, because he's my neighbor. I can absolutely do that. But he and I aren't having a conversation about needs. We're having a, how's your mowing going, or whatever. And so that's where I believe the disconnect has somewhat occurred. And if you guys wanna email me, you can email me anytime of the day. You have my phone number. And you're all welcome to call me. Now again, I am not rash, and I'm not gonna tell you what you wanna hear, because I may not know I may not know the answer.
You're gonna have to hear what's being said,
Right.
let it go in, divulge it, let it run through your body, think it out, and then give an answer.
Right.
I agree with
I
that.
am very meticulous when it comes to things like that. I'm not gonna, I believe in the Abraham Lincoln, saying of better to keep one's mouth shut and thought a fool than open it and remove all doubt.
Yeah,
I don't
Mark
do that.
Twain.
What's that?
That's Mark Twain.
No, it's actually Abraham Lincoln first.
It was a good quote. I
Well,
love it.
to credit Cindy Sims, she did bring up the background checks, which I think the only reason is because I had met with her about it, because I had heard concerns about it. But she didn't bring it, she could have brought, just as easily, talked about the other issues as well. So, you know, she did one thing right, but why not bring up the other issues that she knew that she could have?
There's a sidebar on the checks. When I first got out here, and I was considered overqualified because I was over 50 to 2 degrees. I was a custodian at Mountain View Elementary. And they had done one of the checks where they were looking in the court documents and stuff, the guy passed it. He came in as substitute custodian. My secretary went over the table, grabbed him, and physically threw him out. He was a pedophile. And she knew he was a pedophile, but that had passed. Because nobody, you can't go deep enough when you're checking records. That's why they have NCIC. That's why they have
Makes sense, what
checks done through the FBI.
I have some pretty good knowledge of this, because my wife before, back when she was my sugar mom, my wife was a background checker for the government. So she actually worked for the company that cleared Edward Snowden, which we didn't have a conversation about that, it wasn't her. But ultimately, so I know what you're saying when it comes to background checks. And you can only get, with background checks, you can only get as good information as you can get. Now, it is imperative that a background check is done. That's imperative in any situation. I mean, there's no, now,
If anything, for insurance, which is important.
I know a little bit about it.
No, I know you do. I'm just saying that that's a good, that's,
But yeah, no, you're right. It's not only for insurance is one thing. Insurance is there when something's gone terribly wrong. That's the point of insurance. That's not the point of having a background check for the elementary school kids. That's not the point.
To make sure
It
something
is
doesn't
there
go terribly.
because we need to defend, and I'm sorry, I am a big fan of you gotta have your fingerprints on file. I'm sorry. And we paid for it, my wife. I know it's expensive, but I'm still a firm believer that we probably should, but if we can get past it, it is what it is. But I just believe background checks are imperative when it comes to our kids.
I don't think any of us will
I think
disagree
we all
with you on
agree
that.
with that,
Yeah,
No.
I think the missing piece might be,
any books?
and not that there's a silver bullet or anything, but the Title I, program, despite what it is now, in its inception, I think was a great idea, and we might still be able to, salvage it. It is the mechanism by which you all and us collaborate. And to put forth a policy without that happening, we missed an opportunity. Because if we work together, or probably my wife, because I don't know if I'm there yet, but then you develop a policy whereby the parents and the staff or board, however, have come together and decided, okay, this is our part, this is your part, this is what we'll do, this is what you'll do. And the compact, all that does is that memorializes that agreement, that collaboration that the policy lays out. So to have a compact without that policy, it's like, what are you agreeing to? Because the parents, when they sign that policy, they're saying, yes, I participated in this, either it's a development or revision, it happens every year. And I agree, my part is if the school pays for my background check, I'm gonna go to X number of whatever.
Number of hours.
Yeah, X number of hours volunteering, and I'm gonna do this, and the school commits that they're gonna do that, and both sides sign the compact and agree. That's just one of the things that are brilliant about, if there is something brilliant about the Title I. The other thing is that the funding pays for these kinds of things like the background checks. So the thing that we all agree on, the background checks, there's a funding mechanism. So these things can all be resolved. We're missing some opportunities.
I agree. Opportunities missed every single day and everything. And as long as we work together, I think we can make it better. But at the end of the day, and you heard me say this too, and I don't mean it rudely, and you guys know my stance on, I believe we need to service the kids that are here first. And I'm sorry, I don't mean it rudely, I don't mean it to kids that aren't here, but I'm a firm believer that we have to service the kids that are in our district. We're doing a disservice to those kids that aren't.
We are in
They're
your
all in the
district.
district.
I will, but I mean enrolled in the school. I'm
Well,
sorry.
Well, if
It's
you
the-
push them out,
Well, you,
are you gonna be left with
But
one
at the
kid?
same time,
you should
You
be
can-
sorry because we are all taxpayers, and that is what funds the school.
and it is, but at the same time,
And
what
our
also
kids
funds
would
the
be
school,
here
James,
if they could be.
is the kids that, the number that is there.
No, that's how the state funds it. We fund it by paying our taxes.
What I am saying is, it's the concept of going in, waiting at McDonald's for 25 minutes in Albuquerque, being frustrated, coming to Moriarty and saying, trying to jump the line. We need to take care of the kids that are in the school. I'm sorry, in my opinion, and I'll say this to anybody, in my opinion, those kids need to be taken care of first.
We agree. That's why we're still here, even though our
And
kids
I
aren't.
want you all to be part of it. But what I don't wanna do is go out fishing for students by trying to change X, Y, and Z and go fishing for students because we want those students while we don't address the students.
I don't think I heard anything remotely close to that.
Not even a little.
At our last meeting, when you spoke, and I said, I want to service our kids that are in the district, that are enrolled in school first. You got frustrated.
You said parents whose kids are in the school should have more of a say.
I said parents whose kids are in the school should have more to say, and I
Yes,
still believe
and
that.
Mr. Sandy and Kelsey disagree with you. But I don't even care what you think about that. It doesn't even really matter because that's not what we're doing. We're fighting for the kids that are in the school right now. So that's not even relevant.
But it's having, again, relevance, it's called having a conversation. I'm having a conversation about what we talked about. We can agree to disagree, but I would rather put out what I believe, out on the table to everybody.
So we can disagree on that, and maybe we can resolve it at some point in the future and come to an agreement, I don't know. But the point being is that you have so there's an attempt being made, supposedly, to resolve our initial complaint about the parent involvement. The way it's going about, coupled with now that other things have come to light, like about the Wagner's family, this is a train wreck in process. And you all are going to miss an opportunity not only to stop the train wreck, but to actually create something great, because you've got people who are passionate, who want to help you. And if you don't take advantage of that, if you let somebody else tell you everything's fine, and I'm not saying you do anything with her other than just know that there are some things that are not getting back to you all. And not everybody is, like my wife and I are not the same. So if you miss an opportunity, I think later on, you're going to look back and say, wow, we could have done that a whole lot differently. Especially once discovery starts with Mr. Wagner's complaint, because that's pretty serious, and it doesn't look good.
And as a sidebar, every year, days are set aside for teacher training. That could be an issue, and you've got counselors here, you've got psychologists who can teach that.
Well, I think I think we discussed a plan that y'all are going to email each one of us the
Yeah.
opportunities that you see, and we can, again, I can't promise you that it's gonna be what y'all agree with, but at the end of the day, emailing it to us so we can review it, like Kelsey said, is a step to help us try to get this resolved.
I took the other steps, but ultimately, you're voted to be the voice of us. You're voted to be the voice of the people, not just your personal opinion.
Here, these.
You're voted to be the voice of the people, not just your personal opinion. So you keep talking about your personal opinion, but you're not just supposed to be thinking about your own opinion.
Right, but at the same time, I am devoted to be the voice of an opinion, but at the same, I also have other knowledge beyond what y'all may have in that regard, correct?
Sure, but, so your daughter Reagan, her name Reagan? Are you waiting until she's sexually assaulted before you get the teachers
Let's
to?
not say that,
But
gonna
that's what
frustrate
happened to
y'all.
this daughter. Their daughter was sexually assaulted and they did nothing about
Can't think
it.
of someone better.
But I don't know about that situation definitively, and I'm not gonna speak on it.
But you
And,
hired.
and I don't really wanna hear,
You're somebody who would
I can't have a conversation about somebody else's child with you. I really shouldn't have that conversation
That's
about what
fine.
happened.
That's
Because
fine.
I don't know, and I
Ultimately, it's
think
about the
for me
policy
to, say something
and the law.
beyond what I know,
I'm not asking you to tell me about that
well,
situation.
you just,
No, I'm talking about the law and Title 9, and how that's supposed to be handled in a school district, and it's not being handled the right way, and you're the boss of her, and you should be having some oversight over that.
and I understand, and like I said, I'm not gonna speak on something I don't know enough to speak on.
You don't know about
enough
Title
on it.
9?
I don't know enough to speak on this particular situation, and I'm not
You
gonna
don't have
speak.
to know about that situation to know about what should be happening in general in the school.
You've gotta be able to see what they did with it.
I know, but in general, you should
Right,
have a
but we can't speak
policy.
in generalizations and then speak in specifics.
I
which is
wasn't
what-
speaking in specifics.
But you
I was
better.
talking, no, I said if
Are you gonna wait till your daughter Reagan is sexually assaulted?
Yes,
to
because
speak
you're
in
saying-
specific situations.
because you're saying that parents who withdraw their kids don't have as much of a say. And if I withdraw my kids because I don't have faith that they're not gonna get sexually assaulted, I'm asking whether or not you are waiting until that happens to your child. Some of us are waiting, or doing it beforehand. So it's not just about that one case, it's in general. There's like multiple drawings of balls and penises on the playground that my kids complain to teachers about and nothing happens. Like it's a problem in lots of ways and it's not fixed. So I will email you, but I don't have a lot of confidence in that anything happening because nothing happens ever.
Why was everyone getting recorded?
I'll do
Sounds
it.
like she's gonna give you an opportunity, and that's, so you can build on that.
I will do it, but I just want you to see it from the perspective of parents who are withdrawing their kids because of these issues that we're bringing up.
The
We're not
fear
just like,
that people aren't listening. There's a fear that we came and we talked and you heard, but those with ears that cannot hear and eyes that cannot see, and this is one of the problems that they're talking about. When the problem occurred, and I haven't read the report, I haven't seen anything, so I can't make a determination. But at the time, it should have been handled by law enforcement.
Abner,
You
Soren.
start with it. I don't care if it's in elementary, it still needs to be dealt with, because he could be a future predator. And it's not taken care of now.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Abner, is that your bottle?
The
Under there?
idea is
Can you
that
grab your bottle?
I wasn't in the room when it was discussed, so I can't say it.
Okay.
I'm not, I can't.
Unfortunately, I've got some stuff that we got to lock down.
You got it.
I will email you. I appreciate you guys taking the time to talk.
Thank you.
You're gonna be mad.